Good afternoon and welcome to 221B Baker Street, the home of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Now, these two gentlemen lived at this address from 1881 to 1904 in the stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So everything you see is from this period, so we do ask you to please not touch anything. Thank you. So this room here is Sherlock and Watson's study, which was very much the heart of 221B Baker Street. It was where Sherlock and Watson would sit in order to receive their clients as well as other visitors. Now, Sherlock would always sit on the chair to the right-hand side of the fireplace. This was so, as the light came in through the window, it would hit the back of his head and therefore create shadows on his face. Now, this meant that it was particularly difficult to tell what Sherlock was thinking, as they couldn't actually see any of his expressions. Now, this made it much easier for the client to forget that they were being watched and just be themselves. And this meant that Sherlock could sort of allow them to be authentic and then make his observations. Now, along the right-hand side, you can see some of Sherlock's belongings. For example, his violin in the corner. Now, his violin was very much his most prized possession, as it was the only thing that helped him calm his usually very active mind and imagination. On the mantelpiece there, we have a framed photograph, which is another sort of important feature of Sherlock's side, and it is of Irene Adler, known by Sherlock as the Woman. Now, she was the person who came kind of closest to making Sherlock fall in love, and it was probably because she was the only person who had ever bested him at anything. So he afforded her a kind of begrudging admiration and sat her up there on the mantelpiece next to a bust of Queen Victoria, the only other woman in Sherlock's life. Now, this was not just Sherlock's room, but Dr. Watson's as well, and you can see several of his things on his desk just to your left. Now, Dr. Watson was very much the mouthpiece of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and you can see this throughout the desk, but most particularly in the portrait above it. Now, contrary to popular belief, this is not Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the writer. It is actually a man called Henry Ward Beecher, who was a lawyer and a priest who fought with William Wilberforce to end transatlantic slavery within the British Empire. He was a great hero of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's and is mentioned several times in the stories by Dr. Watson with kind of an immense reverence. So you can see kind of how Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was very much the basis for Dr. Watson rather than for Sherlock Holmes. Now, the most famous feature of the room is the VR on the back wall there. Now, this VR stands for Victoria Regina, which means Queen Victoria in Latin. Now, she was the queen from 1837 to 1901, and in the Musgrave ritual, in a kind of famous tale, Sherlock was said to have been so bored by his lack of cases that he leapt up out of his chair, grabbed his gun off the wall, took aim at that back wall there, and shot in the letters of his queen. Now, patriotic or not, Mrs. Hudson was not very pleased when she discovered what Sherlock had done to her lovely wall, and this was certainly Sherlock's aim all along, as there was nothing he liked more than irritating his long-suffering landlady. So do feel free to have a look around this room and take photos if you would like to, before joining me just to your left in Sherlock's bedroom, where I'll tell you a little bit about the photographs on the wall. So enjoy.